what did I just do? How did I screw that up? What did I just say? What was I thinking? Have you ever had those thoughts? I've shared my stories with you, being very open and vulnerable, that they happen to me more often than I'd like to admit. But mental training is about performing under pressure. Now, you cannot do that without having an awareness of the brain, consistently at least. And when you ask people what do they know about the brain, I guarantee you're going to get some funny looks because it's very, very low, to the point where I just call it flat out ignorance. And so today we're going to dig into the very basic, simple terms that I'm going to use to describe the brain. Now, it's important to know these terms are not scientific. They are not what you should use on your AP psych exam or anything like that. They're meant to be very beginner terms that we can use to discuss the brain and how to function under pressure. Now, to do so, we need to go back many, many years. I'm talking about 50,000 years ago, when humans operated with a brain that is somewhat similar if you just hold your fist up to an arm. We had a brain stem and a ball on top, and that ball on top we're going to call for today the lizard brain. Again, not scientific, but you've got the lizard in front of us that's giving us a visual to what we're talking about. Now, this guy's job was very simple: survival. Keep us safe and comfortable and to wake up for the next day. And so the way that this guy did his job was, well, I'll use a story. Imagine you're doing your job, hunting, getting out in the woods, looking around, patrolling the area, trying to bring back food for your clan, when all of a sudden you come across a tiger track. Now, this track is fresh, and immediately the lizard brain snaps into action with chemicals and hormones that tell you, get the heck out of here. Flight, get out. So you start to burn rubber back to your tribe. But all of a sudden, that tiger that you knew was in the vicinity meets you face to face and starts coming right at you. All of a sudden, the flight mode turns into fight mode. So flight or flight is how we generally responded to danger, with our lizard brain leading the way. The other way that the lizard brain led us was always to have a craving to find food. Food meant we were going to be fat and safe, and that's what we needed. And the fourth, it drove us to want to stick together, to fit in at all costs, because if you got kicked out of your clan, unless you're Jason Bourne, you're going down. And so those four, I call them the four F's: flight, fight, food, fit in. We missed reproduction, which also would be included in here. We're the drivers to the lizard brain. The way to know, though, because today, fast forward thousands and thousands of years, we still have very active lizard brains. Lizard brains, also including what would be a scientific term now as the limbic system, are the basic primal needs along with the emotional parts of our brain. And so we still function with these. And the way to know when this part of our brain is fully active is to know its triggers. So when you have an increased heart rate, sweaty palms, increased breathing rate, that nauseous feeling, or just flat out nervous thoughts, or what if I screw up? Those are all great indicators that your lizard brain is engaged. Now, the good thing is that the lizard brain allows us to react. It allows us to perform, to jump higher, to run faster, to narrow our vision of focus, to focus in on what's most important. So we need it to perform our best. It just can make us feel pretty uncomfortable in the process. So fast forward now, our brain looks much more advanced and incredibly complex. And so we're going to call this matter on the outside, this stuff that you usually think of when we see the brain, the googly stuff. We're just going to call it the learning brain. Some scientists call the lizard brain, they call it this part of the brain system 1, and then the learning brain system 2. But this part of your brain is about rational thinking. It's about planning, predicting, analyzing, reasoning. And it allowed us to build lives where we're very comfortable, or we don't have to worry about survival on a day-to-day basis. So the challenge is when you step out into what we consider now a threatening environment. It could be in front of a crowd. It could be out on a playing field or a test that matters to you. Anytime we're doing something that we care about, we have to deal with and work with the uncomfortable feeling of our lizard brain, putting out fear. Because for him, remember, the lizard brain wants us to stay comfortable. If it were up to him, he would have you skip the homecoming football game just to chill and relax, because you could lose that game, which would mean disappointment. He would prefer you go to the college that's easy for you to get into, or get the job that is a straight salary for the rest of your life with basic. You might not like it, but that's okay. It's comfortable. And so the learning brain's all about taking risks that are aligned to our values, to who we want to become. And so we have this battle going on inside of taking the fear of the lizard brain and processing it with our thinking brain. And so we're going to give you training techniques and a way to handle the lizard brain when it wants to freak out, when you're in the spot where you need to be to perform your best, somewhere where you've trained to be, so that you can be in and be present in that moment. And so the ways that we use that are going to train is through deep breathing. And now deep breathing, a lot of times by the Army, it's called tactical breathing to help stay present and focused. To many others in the world, like the Seattle Seahawks, like Oprah Winfrey, many NBA, NFL players, to many of the biggest business leaders in the world, it's called mindfulness. The ability to be present and stay focused on what you want to be focused on. So what actually happens in the brain when we take time to breathe to our belly and literally try to be present doing nothing? Well, what we see before mindfulness is over here on the left. And the red shows heightened activity, heightened blood flow to the brain. This center part is where our lizard brain is more located, or the limbic brain for more direct language. But it's red. It's where a lot of thinking and a lot of processing is going on in the brain in that part. This is where we feel very uncomfortable. Up here in the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of our brain, there's less activity. We're not able to reason as well. We're not executing. Now, after mindfulness, you see how the brain changes. The lizard brain part, this limbic system, is calmed down. There's not as much tension, not as much fear going on. And rather, our ability to be rational and to think through things is highly increased. You see it again here, just from a different angle, how meditation calms. Right in here, the limbic system, our lizard brain area, it calms it down just after a few minutes of doing this deep breathing. And so for all of us, again, it could be this part where our limbic system, our lizard brain's fired up, could be in all different contexts. It could be after you receive terrible news, scary news, nerve-wracking news. What we're trying to do is calm ourselves down so that we can choose the next best action that we want. And so the way that we do this, we're going to challenge you to get a clutch routine so that you train yourself when you feel the triggers of your lizard brain coming into action, that you don't want to run away because you need to be there, but rather retrain that signal, that instead of being fearful or full of anxiety, we know that we're going to use those tensions to perform our best. So the first part is identify the triggers, whatever that is for you. Sweaty palms, the being frustrated, the nauseous stomach. And to first identify, and then second, breathe to your belly. Really get that oxygen to all parts of your body. Usually we do the opposite and breathe really shallow. And so third, and finally, after you get that breathing, focus on what you can control. Even though you might be getting some of those thoughts that are what you not want to happen, or are your negative thoughts, we want you to be able to take them in and focus on what you can control. And so we've got a way that you're going to use to train this, and I'm going to really challenge you to do your best possible.